Hello everybody, Bradley here, and welcome into a governor tutorial video. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about how governors work and how to use them, a little bit about who I think are the best Pingala and the worst Moksha governors in the game, a little bit about my strategy in deploying the governors. As always, all of these things are just my opinions, and it's okay for different people to have different opinions. So if you hop into your games with the advice I'm about to give you and doesn't quite feel right, it's not quite sitting right, and you find a strategy that works for you, then that's the best strategy in Civilization for you to play this game. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that we have a Twitch stream. We stream a few nights a week. This is a game we streamed. This is a Great Deity Wonder Heist of 2020 as Movember. It was a great time. We also streamed the Civ Give recently, so that link is in the description below. If you want to check out our live stream, it is twitch.tv/VanBradley. I know Twitch isn't for everyone, so if you're happy on YouTube, definitely stick around on YouTube. But if you want to make a hop over and check out the live stream sometime, we would love to have you. Let's hop in and talk about governors. When you appoint a governor, it's really important to understand how the two main mechanics work. The first kind of governor mechanic is loyalty, and the second is establishing itself so you can use its abilities here. So if I appoint Pingala, let's actually take a look at the loyalty number in action right now. The loyalty number in action right now is 21, 20 from nearby citizens, and 1 from other effects. If I go and I appoint Pingala to action, right, it takes 5 turns to establish. So currently, I'm not getting that 15% increase in science and culture because it has not established himself in the city. This works most complicatedly with Magnus because you have to make sure you let Magnus establish before you chop things out. We do it all the time where we forget that we have to wait for Magnus to actually establish in the city before we get the chop boost. So just be aware that establishing takes time, but the loyalty aspect does not. Now we're rising 29 loyalty because we have a governor placed here. So the second you place a governor, you get the loyalty bonus, which is really helpful for avoiding cities loyalty flipping, right? But you don't get their actual ability bonuses until they've established. So if we move Pingala over to Berlin, the same thing's going to happen. It takes 5 turns to establish, but if we go to the loyalty, we do have a governor placed there for 8 loyalty, right? And we've lost it here. So moving the governors around is a great way to get quick loyalty, but you do have to wait for them to kind of sit in for a couple of turns before you get their ability bonuses. We are now here at a crucial point in the game for your governor strategy, and that is going to be picking your first governor. Now, typically in the early game here, you usually have 2, 3-ish cities when you discover your first governor title. That can change if you have secret societies mode enabled, but coming here and selecting your first governor is a very, very important and oftentimes indicative decision on how you want to approach the game. Typically, in most games, there are 3 really, really good options to go for your first governor, and I'll go over them from what I think is the best to what I think is the worst of the 3 options. The best option in most of your games, not all your games, but most of your games, is going to be going Pingala first. The reason is going Pingala first will give you a 15% increase in science and culture just by existing in the city, right? So anything that city produces in terms of science and culture gets boosted by 15%. Pretty awesome. Then its first couple promotions are really, really nice. +1 culture per turn for each citizen in the city, +1 science per turn for each citizen. By the time you get here, your cities can have 4, 5, 6 population, right? So it's extra culture and science. You're just getting tacked onto the top. And then grants right below is really, really good. So Pingala just kind of goes in, it hits really well, and then its first 3 promotions are amazing and very, very helpful. And the reason why Pingala is so great is because let's just take action here, where you're going to be building a +4 campus, maybe a +5 if you throw a government plaza nearby, right? You can assume once you get a library in there, that's going to be a lot of science. Not only are we adding extra science for the population in here, we're increasing all of this by 15%, and we're increasing the amount of great scientist points we're going to get if we go Pingala first. And so Pingala unlocks for you a lot of things that are otherwise inaccessible. The next 2 best options are mostly tied, in my opinion, kind of varies game to game or patch to patch. But the next one I'm going to talk about is Magnus First. The reason why Magnus First can be really, really nice is its ability here is plus 50% yields from plot harvest and feature removals in the city. So if you grab Magnus First in a city like Berlin, maybe, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tiles nearby that you can chop out, you will be getting extra food and extra production for those chops. Same with extra gold if you clear copper tile, same with extra food if you clear a marsh tile. And so getting Magnus early in a city that has lots and lots of chops can help you chop out early settlers, early wonders. So if you have a city like Berlin, and let's say we were able to get the pyramids here. Now, I know this is not a flat desert tile for the pyramids, but let's say we really wanted to build an early wonder here, and we were going to grab the pyramids. Well, you might want to grab Magnus first for the city because we can put down the pyramids and then in like 2 or 3 turns chop out most of the production required. So using Magnus in this way, well, it's not applicable every game, can be really, really helpful in getting you ahead. The second reason Magnus can be really nice to get early is because of his second promotion here, which is provision. Right? So using your second governor title into provision means settlers trained in the city do not consume a population. In a game that you're trying to blitz out 8 to 10 settlers, it's really nice to not lose the population in the cities where those settlers are coming from. And so let's say you have Aachen here, and we put down the government plaza, we have the ancestral hall, and we're just going to be pumping out settlers forever and ever. Right? It's nice to have Magnus there with provision so our population doesn't take a hit in the process. So Pingala is usually really, really good just because it makes things that are otherwise inaccessible very accessible, and it helps push you ahead in the game against the AI. Magnus can be very good too. We don't infrequently go Magnus first, right? It's an option in a lot of games as well, where you can just chop out a lot of things in your city to get some early wonders or early settlers or things that otherwise take a lot of production. Same with war, chopping out units as well. So Magnus can be good for that. The next one, and this is more of a niche pick, but we do pick it from time to time, is... it's Amani, surprise. So Amani can be really, really helpful in clutching a suzerainship and getting you era score. So if you meet an early city-state that you really, really want to be the suzerain of, it usually happens for me with Mohenjo-Daro the most because Mohenjo-Daro unlocks so much for you in terms of the potential land you can settle, right? If I see Mohenjo-Daro, I typically am like, ooh, I really want to put Amani in there to make sure I can be the suzerain of that city-state. And then, because Amani gives 2 envoys per city-state, once you're comfortable in that first city-state, you can kind of bounce her around to a few city-states and take suzerainships, and usually accumulate a bunch of era score from that, right? So you can use Amani, not all the time, but in the early of the game to be very, very, very helpful in getting an early suzerainship, helping with era score, and then being able to bounce her around from city-state to city-state if you're able to collect more suzerainships in the process. Now, that's not to say there's never a time where you should be picking the other ones, right? Liang will give you extra builder charges, things like that. But you just kind of have to know when to use which governor. We are going to go hop into a save right now that has a lot of governors, which you should be having in every game, and we'll talk about that. But the order in which you get your governors is very, very important. So I'm not saying Victor's useless, or Moksha's useless, or Reina's useless, that you should never take them. But in terms of the order in which you should be taking governors, you get the most bang for your buck with the early Pingala, the early Magnus, or the early Amani, I think. And it depends on the game, of course, but I really think Pingala is a good pick here. So let's go into a game with multiple governors and talk about them for a little bit. We've now hopped into an end game here, so you can kind of see what the end game governor screen is going to look like for you, and we can talk about it. I do just want to point out that we did win this Movember game, and we have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wonders in the cabinet. It's 8. It's ridiculous. We call it the Great Deity Wonder Heist of 2020. If you would like to watch stuff like this, twitch.tv/VanBradley is the place to come and check out the live stream. We live stream this game. Anyways, let's take a look at the governors. So at the end of your games, you should typically have most of the governors. Now, some of these governors you're going to use for their abilities, right? Like, we took Pingala really early, like we mentioned before, because we wanted the science, we wanted the culture. We need to catch up on deity to the AI. We took Amani early as well, because we wanted some city-states to be under our control. But we took Reina pretty late, we took Liang pretty late, we took Magnus pretty late. These were not priorities for us. And the only reason we really have them here is just to move them around for loyalty purposes. In a game like this, in a really big game like this, on a big map, you're going to hit golden ages, you're going to hit dark ages, and as you hit those ages, right, maybe it's Mapinda, maybe it's Michele here, right, their loyalty might not stay positive for the whole game. So just having someone like Magnus in this game where we're not chopping a whole lot, right, a lot of a culture game for us is planting woods and not really removing much. But if we go and reassign him, just being able to move him around for loyalty wherever we need him, right? Like just having 7 or 8 governors that you can move around. If we flip into a dark age and we need 1, 2, 3 cities to have higher loyalty, being able to move 1, 2, 3 governors that we don't really care about, like Reina, Magnus, Liang, having them is great in this game. And using their abilities is great, but we don't need them to win. So having options here, having a whole smattering of governors that we can move around for loyalty is very, very, very helpful. This shouldn't come at the cost of the abilities you're going to want to win, like Pingala's abilities, right? But if you're getting later into the game and the next promotion on Amani that you have doesn't look too good, maybe get another governor just to have kicking around for loyalty. Find some use for it, right? Like Reina will do something in a city with a commercial hub. Maybe it's not necessary for you to win, but find a use for some of these tertiary governors in your games because the main use of them will be for loyalty, and you don't want to find out later in the game that you don't have enough governors to help with your loyalty once your cities are flipping. So prioritize the actual abilities first, but once you've got Pingala down, you've got Pingala to where you need him, maybe you've got Magnus for the chops, right? If nothing else is appealing, maybe move on to Victor. Victor will do something for you. Liang will give you builder charges. Reina will give you extra gold, and maybe it's just a nice little boost for now, but having them in the back seat here, right? Having them be there and ready to go whenever you need loyalty can be very, very helpful. And some people like Reina, right? Go through, read these abilities, head to the wiki. Reina's abilities, if we go to view promotions, getting her to contractor allows the city to purchase districts with gold. This is a typical ability you're going to want in a science game to be able to purchase spaceports instead of building them. Spaceports, really high production cost, and being able to straight up buy them can be really helpful. Now, Hercules makes this a lot easier, right? But this is a late game. When do spaceports come into the game? Spaceports come into the game way late, right? Oh, in the atomic era, we're getting to spaceports. So you don't need Reina right away to get that ability, but having her kick around in the meantime, you know you're going to want her later, you know you're going to get her to contractor, having her kick around, collect a little bit of extra gold for you, but to be able to move around at will for loyalty, someone like Pingala can't do that. Pingala needs to stay in the same city, preferably with the Oracle, to keep collecting the culture, the science, the great person points. Continually moving Pingala around means you have loads of turns where he's establishing, where you're not getting these bonuses. Whereas Reina, if you don't really care about the bonuses anyway, you can just move her around at will until you need her later in the game. So that's just a fun way to think about governors in your governor strategy. Pick the ones you need in the early game to get you going. Focus on them, and once that's done, start thinking about what you might use later and get them early just to kick around for loyalty help. Another really important thing to think about when you're thinking about governors is when you are going to get your next governor title. You should already be kind of drawing a path through the civics tree here to kind of figure out where you'll be going in the next 2 and 3 selections in the tree. But if you have a governor title here, and you're heading to drama and poetry, and games and recreation, and then military training, and then theology, you're not getting a governor title for a little bit. That comes into play in 2 specific ways, right? If you are getting Magnus not for the chops, but because you want provision, you need to look in this tree and see when you are going to get provision, because that'll let you know when you're going to start being able to build your settlers with that ability. It also happens with secret societies. We don't have any on this screen, but your secret societies unlock based on era, right? So if you flip over to a new era, you may be getting a new governor title appointment opportunity in your secret society, and you need to know, like, hey, this era ends in 10 turns, right? My next governor title comes in 7, right? Do I hold that governor title for 3 turns to make sure that the second I can upgrade my secret society, I have that governor title stowed away? So if you have a governor title and you are saving it for something, that's totally fine, but just kind of know, because if you have 3 turns to wait before you can upgrade your secret society, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to grab Reina, I'm going to put her somewhere, fantastic. But you're not getting another governor title for 20 turns. That might cause some problems because now you're delayed by 20 turns in upgrading that secret society. So just kind of always keep track in your game, like, well, I just got a governor title here. When am I getting my next governor title? Sometimes you can go back, right? Sometimes you're all the way up here in the tree and you're like, damn, I really need a governor title. And you go back and you realize, oh, I haven't built, this is a terrible example, but I haven't built state workforce yet. State workforce will only take me 13 turns instead of 47 or whatever for the next one. So really keep track of the culture tree and know when you are going to get your next governor title, because it can have a huge impact on your priorities and also on whether or not you hold that governor title. You can end your turn without spending the governor title, so holding on to it to save it for the era to flip for a secret society upgrade is something we do quite often. When used properly, governors can have a huge outsized impact on your game. In this deity game here, just look how much work Pingala is putting in here. So forget the 15% for now. Just the connoisseur, 1 culture for each citizen and 1 science for each citizen, is giving me an extra 20 science and 20 culture per turn just because he exists here. If you move Pingala to Mekele, he'll get 2. So just by having the governors placed in the correct cities, you can drastically change how good they are. Now we'll talk about the 15% part of it. This is a city that has 190 culture and 81 science. Getting 15% of that is very, very, very helpful. Whereas if you go to Mekele again, 15% of 30 and 3 is a lot less than 15% of 190 and 81. The next thing Pingala is doing really, really well for us is this grants promotion here. Where am I looking here? Nope, that's the wrong screen, Brad. No, that's also the wrong screen. There we go. I figured it out eventually. Right? Plus 100% great people points generated per turn in the city. Well, we have loads of districts in the city. All the great writer and great artist points, all the great scientist points, combined all the great admiral points, combined with the oracle, which is giving us even more points. If we go and look at our great person points tab, we are getting 81 great artist points per turn, 66 great writer points per turn. Russia, who's really, really good at this, is getting 19 and 17. So just because we put Pingala in the best city for Pingala to be in, he is doing so much more for us than if we put him in a different city that would not take advantage of his abilities the best. So just be really careful when you're placing your governors. You're going to have the ones you move around for loyalty, but Pingala is the main one. Placing them in the correct city, Amani is the same one as well. Placing her in the correct city state can be really, really helpful in securing that suzerainship, which could give you a huge benefit to your whole empire, as opposed to another city state which might not. So just be careful and really look at the abilities and go, is this the best Pingala city? Is this the best city state for Amani to be in, right? If I put Magnus here, will I get the most out of my chops? And though answering those questions as you move your governors can really help you learn and understand the game a little bit more, and help you kind of create your own tier list of governors, right? I'm just a dude who talks about Civ all the time, so I like Pingala the most, and I don't really ever take Moksha. But maybe you'll try this out and you'll find a super sweet Moksha strat that's amazing and you'll love it, and then you'll do it and you'll feel great because you've done everything, you've read everything, you've played the game, and that's what feels best to you. Alright, well, I hope you at least found this video, this tutorial, this kind of conversation of sorts moderately useful at the bare minimum, and I hope it gives you a little bit of confidence to head into your Civ game, a little more comfortable with how governors work and how to use them and what some of the best strategies are. If you enjoyed the video, the like and subscribe button are there for you to hit. I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't catch or you don't miss the rest of the videos, as well as liking the video means more people will find it and have this awesome governor knowledge, and they'll feel great about their Civ games as well. Let me know what you'd like to see in the comments below. I've had a request for a bunch of different tutorials, so the more requests I get, the more I can get a sense of what people would like. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and we will see you in the next one.